Happy Kentucky Oaks Day, Horse Racing Nation. Here we are with the Kentucky Oaks on Friday at Churchill Downs for May 5th, 2023. Today we are going to be giving you our top picks, our challengers, and a long shot selection in these 7 stakes races on the card for Friday, May 5th on Kentucky Oaks Day. We're going to get things started off in the Alashiba Grade 2 Stakes race for 4-year-olds and up. This will be race 5 going a mile and 16th. We see some familiar faces in here with Art Collector, Last Samurai, Rich Strike, West Willpower, and Smile Happy. Our top pick will be West Willpower. Um, Coming out of that New Orleans Classic at the Fairgrounds, a grade 2 stakes race, big 111 speed figure. Horse looks the best in here. I believe is currently 2-1 based off of the Equibase odds and will be our top pick. We're probably going to go 2 horses deep in here for our pick fives or multi-race wagers. Looking at Art Collector, the other one to the inside, currently 5-2 as our second choice. Again, comes out of that same race, beaten favorite, beaten by West Willpower in there. I think it's going to be a 2-horse race between these two, and this should be a great race to kick off those stakes races. Also, probably going to roll in Last Samurai if we're trying any trifectas in here at a decent price of 4-1. And Rich Strike, of course, hasn't done much since the Kentucky Derby. Finished second in the Lucas Classic, a grade 2 stakes race, but gets back to his Churchill Downs place that he's maybe most comfortable with or whatever, but has been beaten out by West Willpower before in the Clark. So I can see this being another tough task for Rich Strike fans. All right, let's get to the races for the fillies. A mile and an eighth on the new Churchill turf. We got the Modesty grade 3 stakes race in here. Great stakes action, great turf cards, or great turf betting race for Kentucky Oaks Day. Going with the big top pick in here, Dia. This horse was our top pick at Fairgrounds in the, I believe it was the Tom Benson Memorial. She is currently 5-1. Surprisingly, I really thought she'd be a shorter of a price, but I believe this is just a deep field, and it's a race that you're going to have to use a lot of horses. Has some decent, huge speed figures going on this mile in the 16th. It's previously been in Argentina. Came here, I believe, at Colonial, and then was put at Fairgrounds. So a horse that is in really good form for Ignacio Corrales. Gets Vincent Chaminade aboard as well. So kind of sticking with those familiar connections. Second, we're going to Shantasara, 2-1. This is basically the favorite in here for Flevion Pratt and Chad Brown. A horse that is owned by Michael Dubb Maticuk Stables. Um, Kind of, if you look at the sire side, you have Cowsley, a couple Irish and Great Britain bred horses. Not really familiar with some of those. Has a primal power of first or 168 in here. Comes out of Hillsborough, a grade 2 stakes race with a 92 speed figure. So just off of Dia in here speed wise. But again, one that I think will run a big race. Next, we're going with McCulloch, 5-2 currently as our third pick. Have to go back 2 races to find its last win in that. I believe it was the Juvenile Cup Oaks Invitational at Belmont at Aqueduct. Going a little bit further, at a mile and 3/8. Pretty good speed figure for the turf. Finished first in there with jockey Irad Ortiz, and she will get Irad Ortiz aboard again for Chad Brown. So instinctively, prime power being 157.6 and third in this class or in this field of 9. Next, we may use New Year's Eve. This horse ran third to Dia. Was, I believe, the second betting option in there on that Tom Benson Memorial. Kind of comes in stakes race here, or graded stakes race. Hasn't had a stakes victory since the Edgewood grade 2 back on this race, or this time last year in May on the Oaks Garden. Next, we have the 8 bells. And of course, a lot of people's single is going to be in here. Our top pick will be Money's Gold. I believe this horse will be a lot of people's single. It's kind of tough to overlook her. Look at that speed figure the last time out, a 104, a 103 when breaking her maiden. $110,000 stakes race at Tampa, and just has some blazing pull away speed. Was able to wire the field in her first two starts, comes in here, um, dueled for the lead, kind of outdueled going into, I believe it was the second turn or the second quarter pole, and then basically was able to just ride away easily. And I think this is what we will see in here again. Not much in here. I don't think will beat her. A seed just to her inside in the 8 for Flavion Pratt and Chad Brown, maybe the best chance at what's the odds? 5-1. Broker maiden last time out, 90 speed figure again is just off of Money's Gold by a lot. So again, gonna have to take a big step forward. And then we'll probably use Red Carpet Ready 3-1. Really don't like the prices in here. We may try an exacta with Money's Gold and a seed. We may try it with Money's Gold and Red Carpet Ready. There's just not a whole lot of price, and with Money's Gold currently at 6-5, this horse is going to be heavy favorite. Possibly even maybe 1-5 in those type of areas. If you get 6-5 on Money's Gold, take it, and run and bet it. I don't see her being that type of price. Race 8, 5.5 furlongs. Staying with the turf, Unbridled Sydney. This is a $300,000 stakes race for 4-year-olds and up fillies and mares, presented by Turfway Park Racing. And here our top pick is going to be the mighty Caravel. 4-5 on the morning line favorite, and with respect, coming out of that Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint, goes into the Shakertown and shakes down all of her competitors. A horse that's in great form. Did it with a 91 speed figure, so really didn't have to reach deep into the speed, but definitely put some of these away, and was able to win by a head. One of her competitions in here, who she beat by a head, will be one of our other talked about picks. Next, we're going back to the inside and Salvier. If I find her odds, where's she at? Big price in here for Brian Hernandez and Sherry Defoe at 20-1. But we're going to take a shot. I know has been running in some optional claimings or allowance races, so definitely does not have the form of Caravel. Kind of like this horse, I believe it was in 2 times back going on its allowance race. It kind of came from the way out of it. And I feel like that might be what we see from Salvage in here. I want that horse to be running late and kind of get under Caravel for a big price in an exacta or trifecta. Next, we're going to use Majestic D Oro, another 15-1 horse as our third pick. Another one that was a terrible outing last time out, just did not have anything in the Music City. Going back 2 tries in the Alley Wow and the Lady Erie $100,000 stakes race, performed really well. Finished first in the Alley Wow and then second in the Lady Erie. I think it's definitely up against it, but has the connections. Brendan Walsh is training horses really well right now, or has horses in good form right now, as we saw at Keeneland. He gets Irad Ortiz in the irons. Again, this horse had Irad a couple, I think it was a year or so go back. So we'll see what Majestic Dioro can do with Irad aboard. Again, Caravel is the horse to beat. And it seems like a lot of these other ones are going to be 15-14-1. Our other outside looker would be Quaria Comet. Joe Talamo for Pablo Lobo. And here we're using this horse because it's a Turfway shipper and just because of what they've been able to do. It seems like when we leave them off the tickets, they win and they get talked about. When we use them, they lose. I don't even know. So we're going to try it. Third in the WEBN, Frog Stakes, 125,000. So has the synthetic trying here to go to the turf. I don't see any issues. This horse broke its maiden on turf. So maybe getting back to that turf form. in here is what the connections want. Should be interesting to see. I mean, it's done fairly well. 8, 3, and 2 lifetime, 89 speed figures. One to take a shot with. Put it with Caravel. Let's get a price. Um, Again, so far we've got two singles possibly with Caravel and Money's Gold. Maybe you can use a little bit extra in here because the turf races are always wild on these big stakes days. Next, we have the Troienne Grade 1. Again, we're sticking with the 4-year-old fillies and mares. And here we're going a mile and a 16th. Here we have Secret Oath returning after her disappointing, not necessarily disappointing defeat, but a nail biter defeat to Clairiere last time out in the Apple Blossom at Oaklawn Park. The horse was beat by a neck, probably put on one hell of a show for the fans there on that day for. Um, I believe what was the Arkansas Derby. Comes in off of that, but then previously in the Avziri, a grade 2 stakes race, finished first in there with Tyler Gaffleone, sticks with Tyler Gaffleone aboard. Um, so one that's again in good form and does not have to face the likes of Clairiere. Next, we're going with Society, probably one that we kind of split decisions on with this one in Classy Edition. We're using Society coming out of the Madison, was third to Goodnight Olive, who is on one of the other stakes cards, and who is a really good horse. Finished seventh in the Breeders' Cup Distaff. On Breeders' Cup Day, was beat out by Malathat, Blue Stripe, and Clairiere, but did win the Grade 1 Cotillion at Parks. Posted a big 109 speed figure, so the horse has it in her. So it's going to be interesting to see. Again, does not have Goodnight Olive, does not have Malathat, just has to beat out Secret Oath. Next, we're going with Classy Edition. This one's an interesting newcomer, if you would. Ran in the Grade 2 Devonna Dale last year, and the Giselle last year also, and then kind of, I think, was just disappointing there and then kind of taken off of the Kentucky Oaks Trail. Takes some time off, comes back in January of 2023 after a big layoff and sweeps in her optional claiming for non-winners at 1. Goes straight to the Royal Delta at Gulfstream Park, a grade 3 stakes race, and drives away and beats all competition. Again, kind of one that started off just off the lead, was able to put herself in front in the stretch and was able to finish rather strongly. So one that's definitely interesting coming in. I believe the odds were 5-1 or 8-1 on Classy Edition, 8-1. So definitely an interesting price to use with Secret Oath and Society. And can't leave out search results. 4-1 currently. Again, Malathat is not in here. Clairiere is not in here. So search results should have no excuses as well. It's been a while since we've seen her coming out of the Breeders' Cup Distaff. So has a big layoff compared to some of these other horses. So should be well rested. Chad Brown knows a thing or two. So we will see if she is primed and ready to go. Probably going to use 3-4 deep in here on our tickets just because it's kind of a toss-up race and it could go either way. Another one to consider is A May Row or O May Ray, another Brad Cox horse with Thorant Giroux, has won her last 3 starts. The Beholder, a grade 1, the Bayakoa, grade 3, and then the Pogo Hop, which is a $100,000 stakes race at Fairgrounds. So has been all over Fairgrounds, Oaklawn, Santa Anita, back to Churchill for the first time, actually. But has some speed figures that are comparable to some of these other horses. I hate going 5 deep on a couple uh, tickets, but this may be a race if you single with Money's Gold and Caravel. Here's the race that you may be able to get away with going 5 deep because this could be where you find a price with Secret Oath coming off a beat. Society been beaten last time out, and this is kind of a really good betting race. Race 10, we have the Edgewood. So some horses were placed earlier in the A bells coming out of the Edgewood, or the earlier stakes race coming from the Edgewood last year. Top pick will be Cairo Consort. 3-1 currently. I know, favorites. But look at what this horse has done. Um, Second and third with 2 wins in his last 4 starts. The Appalachian Grade 2 was beat out by the horse that's in here, and I believe it's Papilio. Um, by a neck, was beat out for that finish. Comes back in the Homecoming Bride, finished third in there again, Papilio, and then wins the Sweet Chant Grade 3 Stakes race at Gulfstream Park. So Cairo Consort gets Tyler Gaffney aboard, has had Irad. Irad gets off and goes to our second pick in preliminary, who is 5-1 for Chad Brown and Irad for Klarovich Stables. So there's your connections. There, the horse just broke her maiden at Gulfstream Park back in March. 84 speed figure, so a little bit off of Cairo Consort. Nothing too skeptical there. Has been working out pretty good at Churchill already. So definitely one to consider, and interesting that Irad gets off of Cairo Consort and jumps on preliminary. Third pick is the horse that has beat out Cairo Consort and Papilio the last 2 times, um, winning the Appalachian, the Grade 2 Stakes race, and finishing just ahead of Cairo Consort in second in the Homecoming Bride Grade 3 at Gulfstream. Before that was over in Ireland, racing in some of their stakes graded stakes races, and a grade 2 and a grade 1 stakes race over there. Connections here: DJ Stable, Medallion Racing. Mark Cassie gets this one for Javier Castellano. Primal Power of 144, if you kind of pay attention to those. I believe was a $70,000 purchase. So um, interesting if you're that type of person that checks out their uh, purchases when these horses were bought at the yearling sales. So third pick, probably going to use all 3 of these on our ticket. And our fourth pick, kind of hoping for a long shot in here, but it's 6-1 in Liguria. Um, Basically has 3 starts, has hit the board in each one, 2 wins, broke its maiden at the $95,000 level at Belmont at Aqueduct, and then goes out to Del Mar in the Jimmy Durant Grade 3 Stakes race and wins there as the heavy favorite. Um, Interesting here for Chad Brown, daughter out of Warfront, owned by Alpha Delta Stables. Big 87 speed figure the last time out, going a mile. So interesting to see that on a lighter race horse, one that's definitely going to be the check mark or to use here in your multi-race wagers. Next, we have the highlight of the card in the Kentucky Oaks. And like most people, it has to be Wet Paint as our top pick. We're kind of constricted between 2 horses right now in Wet Paint and Botanical. Both, if you look at their similar records, 3 wins for Wet Paint, 4 wins for Botanical. Botanical comes from Turfway Park. Wet Paint coming out of Oaklawn Park. So, which shipper do you like best? Wet Paint was at Turfway Park back in December in an optional claiming race of non-winners of 1, finished second in there. Um, Botanical coming out of the Bourbonhead Oaks, the Cincinnati Trophy, and an optional claiming at 50,000 winner there for non-winners of 1 as well. Speed figures are very comparable to both of these horses. Both are trained by Brad Cox. Wet Paint gets Flavion Pratt, so there's the leg up for her. Botanical getting Chris Landeros, who's been on this horse in her last 4 wins as well. On the workout department, I think Botanical seems to be eyeing catching the eyes of people on social media more than Wet Paint has right now, just by her last April 27th workout that she posted. So, like most people, that's the top 2. There's a heavy exacta that we will probably wager on there. Throwing in our exactas, we are going with Wonder Wheel. Yes, we know she bombed in the Ashland, had nothing whatsoever. And was basically off of the Kentucky Oaks Trail. Looked like a heavy Oaks favorite coming out of that Breeders' Cup Juvenile Filly, that Grade 1 and that Grade 1 Alasbiata. And even a second place in the Spinaway, a Grade 2 stakes race. She looked like the horse to beat coming into her 3-year-old season for the Kentucky Oaks. Kind of flattened out in the Suncoast. not everybody was like, okay, a second is fine. She came out of those 2 wins. She's been second before in the spin away. Let's go to the Ashland. And the horse just has nothing in the tank whatsoever. Um, and a lot of the numbers, if you look at the times, were comparable to what she's been running. So it was just a bad day, possibly for Wonder Wheel. Um, she just was not wanting to run. She was not primed and ready to go, whatever it may be. She gets a new jockey in Joel Rosario. Mark Cassie, glad to be drawn into the Kentucky Oaks. And you got to give her a shot. I mean, one bad race on her entire record. And here she is able to run in the Kentucky Oaks. You got to use her. You got to give her credit. We will see what happens. Another interesting one we probably will leave off will be South Lawn with Railu and Norm Cassie. Interesting Fairground Oaks winner in here. I think was like the third choice in there for betting options. Came right out of an optional claiming of non-winners of one, goes straight into grade stakes company and wins. So if you're one that likes to use a little bit extra, South Lawn may not be a bad choice. And our other long shot, or a long shot in here that we're going to use, is Defining Purpose. um, April 29th on the Churchill track, she went 4 furlongs and 47. I believe she was breezing. And that was one of the best workouts of the day. Not really getting a whole lot of talk, but she was the winner of that Ashland. And I think she did it just by sitting off the pace. Pressing the pace is kind of maybe what her style could be. Um, and that's kind of how she got into this race. Before that, she was sixth in the Honeybee, third in the Martha Washington, and then won the year's end at Oaklawn Park. So one that maybe on the right track, trending upward right now, has ran against Wet Paint, finished sixth and third. So like I said, one that we're going to use as a long shot play in here for maybe a trifecta, or even if we try one of our superfectas. The other one that we were looking at was the Alice Look, or the Ali's Look, on the inside, number 2 at 15-1 for Javier Castellano, Brad Cox. Really like this filly out of Curlin. Again, flailed in the Fairground Oaks, finished third. Was in a Fairgrounds Holiday, $150,000, and won that, posted a 93 speed figure. She can get back to that 93 mark. She looks pretty good in here as an under, especially at 15-1 with some of these other top two of our picks that we will be using. We will throw Alice Look in for our trifectas, second or thirds, or definitely using her for our exacta wagering. So there's our full card, or not the full card, but the stakes card for Kentucky Oaks Day. We will post down below the link to all of our selections. So this will include the suggested wagering of exactas, trifectas, pick fours, and pick fives. You'll find that down in the link below. So make sure to check that out. Give us a like, hit that subscribe button, get us to 1,000 subscribers before Kentucky Derby Day. Make sure you follow to get our Kentucky Derby video that we will be posting soon. Make sure to leave a comment down below who you like for the Kentucky Oaks Day and the Kentucky Oaks race for this wonderful racing event that we are blessed to have on Saturday, or Friday and Saturday in May. Have a great betting race and good luck.